Hey everyone, Ben here and welcome to 30 minutes of Super Formula Lights action from Montreal. Now this is going to be a big challenge. Even though I've qualified in P2, staying out of the barriers here is a real challenge. And as we're waiting for the red lights, that's really what's on my mind here. This is going to be a very difficult opening lap to navigate. We're getting set and we are off. And look at that, we've got a fast starter. That's Portillo behind and he is straight up into P1. What a getaway he's gotten. I'm down into P3 and I'm very conscious that I've got Pastor just up ahead and he cuts back to the racing line. I'm only just able to stay out of his rear wing. I don't think we've picked up any damage, even though we got a 0x there heading into T2. We're through then the very tricky downhill section of track there. We keep it out of the barriers on the right hand side, and as we're just getting the car up to temperature here, that is my primary consideration. That and not being caught out by any mistakes from drivers around me. Thankfully, we've gotten through the first section of this opening lap without any incidents, and it feels like we might have a chance to get a run down the inside here, but I'm just not going to be close enough. It's not really an overtaking spot, this second chicane. Actually, a very difficult corner to get the car slowed down and then get them turned in to the apex, get on the power early on exit. As it stands, we're in P3 then, heading into the hairpin for the first time again. We close up on Pastor in the braking zone. Little bit of difficulty there with understeer, just having to feather the throttle more than I'd like to have, and that's going to cost me down the back straight here. I'm not really going to be close enough to maximise the tow and make a move down into the chicane for the first time here at the end of the lap. This is the corner of maximum danger. The wall of champions is just on the outside. All three of us as the leading pack make it through safely for the first time, but as we come to finish the first lap, we'll be in P3. I'm closing in again on Pastor heading into T1, but again just not close enough, and that gives us a chance then to look back at the race start from Portillo, the man who leads the field at the moment. He started P3. What a launch he got from the grid, and that's going to allow him then around the outside into T1 and then to hold the position into T2. We're on to lap 2 then, and as you can see, it's still a very close fight at the front. We're less than a second behind Pastor, and we've got a gap of around 0.7 seconds to LM behind. So we're coming down into the braking zone once more into the hairpin. Ruben Portillo continues to lead this field. I'm hoping to remain in the slipstream here of Pastor, and yes, it looks as if I just about have, and actually I've got a little bit more space to the pack of drivers behind as well. So we're not going to be close enough to make a move this time, but we're remaining in touch with the top two drivers in this race. Can I get back up into P2 where we're coming into the chicane once again? Oh, but there's a big hit up ahead. That's Portillo into the wall of champions. Pastor had to slow down, and I'm able to get through the middle of them and lead this race. Unbelievable. It was always going to happen to somebody, and there it is. Portillo just clips the inside curb, and it's a double hit into that wall of champions. Look at this once again from the aerial vantage point. Wow, that could have been a much bigger incident. Thankfully, Pastor and myself, we had enough space to react. Pastor, though, paid a big price. He had to slam the brakes on, and that allowed me to get through. And so as we rejoin on lap 3, I am still at the lead of this field, continuing the fantastic start I've had to this Super Formula Lights season. I'm leading another race, but Pastor is the highest ranked driver on this grid, and he's only 0.4 seconds behind, and that means I've got my work cut out for me over the course of the next 26 minutes of racing. All I can focus on at the moment is getting my braking zones right, because they are going to be crucial to getting good exits from these tight corners and onto the very long straights of Montreal. And that's really the key to trying to defend positions here, because the slipstream is pretty powerful in these Super Formula Lights cars, although of course we're all running different setups. This is an open setup race, but as you can see from the TV camera that I've just popped up in the top right hand corner of the screen, it does look like Pastor is going to have a run on me here, but he's overcooked it. He's gotten that completely wrong. It distracts me as I'm trying to hit the apex. we both get hit with slowdown penalties, that is going to give Ben Dunbar the lead of this race, and that might have ended my chances of taking another race win. Look at that on replay. You can see it distracts me as I'm in the braking zone. I actually got out of the brakes because I knew I had to abort the corner, and that meant I've paid a heavy price indeed. I also tried to rejoin the track as safely as possible. That probably cost me an extra second or two. But as we rejoin the live action on lap 4, Dunbar continues to lead us away. You can see visibly the gap that has opened up between myself and the top two drivers because of that incident at the chicane. And again, we're going to pop the TV camera up though, because it's Ben Dunbar's turn to make a mistake into the chicane. He's going to be slapped with a slowdown penalty as well. You can see him there pulling off to the left hand side. So Pastor is going to return to the lead of this race. Am I going to be able to get close enough to challenge Dunbar into T1? Not quite, but that gap has disappeared now. I am right on the rear wing of P2, so maybe all is not lost after all. There's going to be lots of mistakes, I fancy, in the remainder of this race. I've got to try and keep my pace up, but make sure I don't make another. So I'm on hand to capitalise as we're rapidly snaking through the middle section here at Montreal, hunting down Dunbar up ahead, trying to reclaim my P2, and he's struggling a little bit there on corner exit, although he does carry good speed. I am within his slipstream here on the back straight, heading towards the bridge and the very difficult braking and turning in zone of the next chicane, and we're just able to carry enough speed there to keep the pressure on heading into the hairpin. And this is going to be my best chance if I can get well into the slipstream here. Heavy on the brakes. Yes, look at that, we've closed right in. Try and get the car nicely turned in and then on the gas early enough, and I should get the benefit of the slipstream here. From my laps in practice, I'm expecting to be able to get alongside Dunbar here from this far back, but I'm not really gaining any pace at all, and now I am just, but it's going to be too late to get alongside him into the braking zone. So it looks as if he's running less downforce than I am here, and this is going to be a real struggle to get past. And in fact, we're going to have to go forward all the way to lap 8 for the next bit of significant action. We're following backmarker Craig Diamond here, and he's had an accident heading into the middle section of the lap. I'm going to come across him just as he's reversing back onto the racing line. That's going to cost me a little bit more time there through the yellow flag zone. I'd already dropped back a little bit from Dunbar, but the gap is going to close again because he is going to make another mistake. That's going to be an additional slowdown penalty for Ben Dunbar up ahead, and I'm going to gain on him rapidly here, heading into the braking zone of the hairpin. You can see him closing in here as we get onto the brakes. Not going to be enough for me to get alongside into the hairpin, but surely this time it's going to give me a chance in the slipstream to get alongside him into the chicane. Well, here we go. We're going to find out. Am I going to be closing in faster than the last time around? And it doesn't look like I am. I mean, I am gaining. I am closer than I was last time. I'm going to shape to the inside, but really an attempt to try and psych him out rather than get alongside. I was just too far back there to make the move, and ultimately it didn't work. Dunbar holding his nerve and holding P2 for the time being, but I'm still hunting him down here in close proximity as we head on to lap 9 of this race. Get a nice line through T1 and into T2. You can see we are very, very close behind his rear wing here. Then can I keep within that draft through the course of this lap? Where we're going to find out here as we get into the middle section down the hill. Just try and get the car out towards the wall as far as you dare, really. You'll carry more speed if you get right out there. And again now onto the brakes, try and get the car turned in nicely to open up the exit of the corner. And again, you want to be out as close as you can to the barrier there. Both of us were, and it looks as if Dunbar has just extended that lead just a little bit there through those couple of corners. Again, heavy on the brakes, try and hold it into third gear, try and get through the corner and on the gas as quickly as you can, and it does look as if I've gotten some of that time back. That could be crucial as we head towards the hairpin once again here. Then he's actually shaped to the inside there, a little bit defensive. That should compromise his line through the corner. He didn't need to be on the inside of the entry to the corner there, but it does look as if he's gotten a decent exit, and it does look as if he's just quicker down the straights than I am, even accounting for slipstream. It doesn't look as if I'm going to be close enough into the braking zone, I'm going to be relying on him making another mistake as we get towards the corner once more then, and he doesn't. He gets a nice run through, as do we. We're going to be following in close pursuit then for another lap, and we fast forward to lap 14 and we're starting to come up against back markers, and once again, slowly but surely, Ben Dunbar has just opened out the gap a little bit. He managed to get through this back marker up ahead in a very fortuitous position. I don't think I'm going to be as lucky unless they get out of the accelerator down this back straight, but it doesn't look as if they're going to. This is really frustrating in the cockpit when I'm trying to keep the pressure on the driver ahead, and in fact I'm going to come right up against their rear wing through that right left. That has cost me a huge amount of time, and I shifted down into second gear out of frustration as much as anything else, lost my concentration, and we've fallen back hugely from that battle for P2. Through the hairpin then, I'm really hopeful they're going to blatantly get out the way, and they do, but the damage has been done, and that actually put me back into the clutches of the driver behind. But unfortunately for Spencer Rutherford, as he was chasing me down towards the end of the race, he would just try to carry too much speed through the middle section of the lap, and he would spin the car, all of which meant that as we got onto the final lap of this race, I would come home in a relatively comfortable P3. And I think, in fairness, that was just about where my speed was today. The top two drivers absolutely deserved their finishing positions. It could have been a closer battle had some of those incidents and lap drivers played out slightly differently, but I think when you look at the underlying speed, P3 was probably fair enough for today. There's the full classified results then. What a fantastic combination this is, by the way. If you own the content, you definitely should give it a go. And if you want to see more Super Formula Lights action, check out the video that's on screen now.